Due to not being able to see Despicable Me 4 and Deadpool 3 during my holidays in Turkey, today I decided to do a double feature where I would see the two films in the same day. So, without further ado, let's start off my review for Despicable Me 4. Despicable Me 4 was released in 2024 and was directed by Chris Renaud. It tells the story where Gru and Lucy have a newborn child and the family are all happy together, but when the criminal known as Maximel Lamal has escaped prison, he seeks out revenge on Gru, so it's up to Gru and the gang to stop him. Despicable Me 4 is a movie that I didn't know what to expect. I'm not gonna lie, to be completely honest, the trailers were actually fun. The trailers made the movie look really entertaining and much more like the first two films and a big improvement over the third movie. Unfortunately though, my expectations did decline when I heard a lot of the reviews coming in saying that the movie was very mid, and even hearing that by a lot of people that it's even worse than the third one, which shocked me to be honest, because I genuinely couldn't stand the third one on rewatch. But I decided to see the movie for myself. And after seeing it, I think Despicable Me 4 is it's good enough. It's decent. It's passable. Like, okay, it's not terrible. It's actually not as bad as I was expecting, to be honest. I kind of had a feeling it was going to be average, but I have to be honest, to think there was enough entertainment value in it for me to say it was decent. But it's not a great movie. Far from it. I think the biggest problem that Despicable Me 4 suffers, while it's a big improvement over the third movie, I think it's a bit of a step below the first two movies and even the two Minions movies. The reason why I put the Minions movies above this one is because the Minions movies had they had a more straightforward plot than this one. Despicable Me 4 feels like a bunch of fillery nonsense going on, and it kind of feels like nothing's really going anywhere. Like, there's a plot with the new character Poppy, and to me it felt like it didn't go anywhere, and it just feels like it was just trying so hard to be like the first one, but just didn't have the same wit, smartness and charm of that. And I also just felt a lot of it, like with the Mega Minions, while some parts were fun, it just felt, I don't know, it just felt like it wasn't going anywhere. I think the biggest problem was the story. The direction, it wasn't very good. It was all over the place. I think they should have just told a simple, straightforward story about Gru and Maximil Laval, because I think their dynamic could have actually been really good. See, I felt the story, it was messy, and I also think the charm, the wit, the smartness of the franchise is gone. It really is gone. And I felt that with the third movie. The third movie I think is terrible. I think it's a disgrace to the franchise, to be honest. But I think what I like about this one is because it's a little smarter than the third one, but I feel like it's really played out now. The franchise has really overstayed its welcome. It's not as funny anymore. It's not as entertaining. Some of the jokes I did find quite funny, some of which I actually found to be hilarious. Most of the jokes really did fall flat, and I found a lot of them to be very, very dumb and very poorly written. So I think the storyline, they should have just, like I said, they should have just had a simple, straightforward story that you could follow. But instead it feels like a bunch of fillery nonsense. It feels like a bunch of Despicable Me mini-movies being pushed into one. And it all just doesn't gel well, I feel. I don't know, I didn't think the story was that great. I mean, it had some good moments. Some moments were decent. There was one or two decent character moments. And like I said, there was some fun action scenes. The funniest moment about this movie for me today was when watching it in the cinema. There was a kid, and there's the part with the flying car. A kid actually says out loud, "I want a flying car like that." And I actually laughed because the moment was silent, and then all of a sudden you just heard that, and I just thought that was great. And yeah, who wouldn't want a flying car? But yeah, so admittedly, there's some decent action and there is some fun moments. It's just, sadly, the franchise really has lost its steam. It's played out now. It's drawn out. The animation is still very good. The animation is really colourful, it's bright, it's cartoony, just like the other movies. But visually, the movie does look very nice. I have to say, animation-wise, Despicable Me 4 is very impressive. And the animation on the action scenes is very good. It's very well done. And the characters, well, sadly, they've really starting to lose the special touch of what made the characters great in the first two movies.
I do feel Gru is good enough, but a lot of the charm that once made him a good character, it's just gone, and he's just not the same anymore. It feels like a lot of his great wit from the first two movies really is just, well, gone. Same with the other characters. Lucy is good enough, and the girls are fine, but it feels stale that they're still kids and feels really played out now. And as for Gru Jr., well, I will admit, he does have his funny moments, but to me, it really did feel like he was just a Jack Jack from The Incredibles wannabe. And the minions, they're fine in this, but the Mega Minions just feel like iconic superhero wannabes. Even though I'm not gonna lie, some scenes with them were actually kind of entertaining and fun to watch. The new characters, such as Poppy, she's okay, but she really does just feel like a Gru wannabe. She's not a terrible character by any means, but not all that interesting. The villain Maximal Lamal is okay, easily the worst villain, I feel. Will Ferrell does a unique performance to say the least, but I feel like he's a waste of a lot of potential. Because I had a feeling that him and Gru were going to have a very interesting dynamic, but he has very little impact on the story, and this might be just me, but I feel like he has very little screen time. His wife, on the other hand, well, she's just forgettable for me.
So, granted, they are better here than they are in the third one, but I feel like they've lost that specialty that made them really good in the first two movies, and now they just feel, I don't know, it just feels stale. It just feels played out. That's my biggest problem. The movie really does feel drawn out. The music of the movie is really good. The song at the beginning of the movie was really catchy, so I have to give credit. The movie does have some very good music. This isn't a bad film, and I do think it's a big improvement over Despicable Me 3. I do really like the first two movies. I think they're a lot of fun. The Minions movies I feel are decent. While I would say Minions 2 was an improvement over the first one, it really did prove to me that the franchise is really starting to become played out. And I feel with the fourth movie, while I genuinely believe this should have been the third movie, but even if it was the third movie, it really does feel like the franchise is just, it's getting to that point now where it's not engaging anymore, and it's not the fun charm that Despicable Me once was. It's a good enough film, and I will give credit, the ending, I wouldn't call it an amazing ending, but it does work as a conclusion. But it's just, I don't know, it's just not a great movie, I feel.
Overall, Despicable Me 4 is a decent enough movie, and I'd take it over the third film any day. But the writing and the characters have really lost their wit and charm, and a lot of the jokes just don't land anymore. But the animation and the music are still at least quite good. I'm going to give Despicable Me 4 a 7 out of 10. There's enough entertainment value for me to say it's decent, but they really should definitely leave the franchise here.
So yeah, it's worth a watch, I will say that. It does have some merit, but it's definitely the second weakest of the franchise. It's not as bad as the third, it's just not as good as the first two and the two Minions movies. Which is a shame, because the trailers did make it look like a lot of fun. And unfortunately, I did feel the trailers gave a lot of the movie away. So that was a bit of a shame. Right, that's it for my review on Despicable Me 4. Let's roll on with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine was released in 2024 and was directed by Sean Levy. It tells the story of Wade Wilson, who has been recruited by the Time Variance Authority, and he must team up with a variant of Wolverine. I'm not going to get in too much of the story because I really don't want to spoil it.
I really like the first two Deadpools. I rewatched both movies before going on holidays, and I really like them, and I actually like the second one even more than the first one. So this one, I was really excited to see. I thought it looked like a lot of fun. I will admit though, I wasn't too keen on the title at first, but it has grown on me. I just would have preferred if it was called Deadpool 3, but even so, Deadpool and Wolverine is still a cool title. I mean, I suppose that is what the movie is about. But after seeing it today, I have to say this film is class. This is peak. This is excellent. This film is fantastic. I loved this movie. I think this is easily the best of the three Deadpool movies. I think it's awesome. The storyline, it's tons and tons of fun. The opening scene is hilarious. A lot of the comedy is just genius. It really, Wade Wilson still has the charm and wit that he had in the first two movies. Ryan Reynolds owns the role, and it really is just a very engaging story. It's just tons and tons and tons of fun. My only issue is really just the pacing. The pacing wasn't bad, but I think the movie could have been 2.5 hours. But I did feel the middle act was just a tad bit rushed. It was still really great, I just felt it went by a little too fast. So I think the movie should have been a bit longer. But even so, like, the movie's pacing is really, really good. I think overall it's just tons and tons of fun. It really is a love letter to both Deadpool and Wolverine. The action is incredible. A lot of the fight scenes are awesome. They looked fantastic in the trailers. They're even better in the actual movie. A lot of the cameos are really good. I suppose maybe sometimes it goes a little over the top, but I think it worked for the story. I just think, again, like I said, that's the biggest positive with this movie. It's just tons and tons and tons of fun. And it also has a lot of heart and depth in the film. There's tons of heartfelt moments in this film. Visually, the movie looks great. The action, absolutely fantastic. The cinematography, amazing. The suits, awesome. And the characters are really good. Wade Wilson is great. Like I said, Ryan Reynolds owns this character and does an excellent performance. And he still has the same great things that made him a great character in the first two movies in this one. He's fantastic in this. And Wolverine was great. Hugh Jackman did an excellent performance, and their dynamic was awesome. The other characters are very good too. The main villain is a bitch. I don't want to talk too much about the characters. I don't want to spoil it because it's a really damn good movie and I really wouldn't want to spoil it for anyone. So the characters in the film are really good and they bounce off each other very well. The dynamics are very good and the cast do fantastic performances. The music of the film, absolutely excellent. It's really catchy and some songs I genuinely was not expecting to hear at all in this film, so that was cool. There's not a lot for me to say other than this is just a really damn good movie. This film is great. I don't quite think it's perfect, but it's really, really, really good. And I have a feeling I'll like it even more on rewatch.
Overall, Deadpool 3 is fantastic. The storyline is class. It's great. Awesome action, great characters, and excellent music. I'm going to give Deadpool and Wolverine a very, very strong 9 out of 10.
So yeah, that's it for my review of Deadpool 3. What an awesome movie. And that's it for my double review of Despicable Me 4 and Deadpool 3. What did you guys think of both films? Let me know in the comment section below. Stay tuned for the next video, and until then, skadoosh everyone.